third buck we've seen the whole trip. We're making a stalk on him. He's within 450, 500 yards right now. The snow is so crunchy, we're just taking our time, working our way over. Hopefully, we get a shot on this guy.
Yeah, he's up. We got at least get some eyes on him, see if we want to shoot him. Snow is not helping us. There's a sentry doe laying up above him. She can see us before we can get up high enough to see him. So we gotta be really careful here, but he looks like a good buck.
Good behind the rifle.
Yeah, I feel right. I gotta get a range on him though.
I'll range him. You get behind the rifle. You get the scope on him. I'll range him. Yeah, well, we crept over, we got in position, and I thought I might have blown it because that doe looked right at me. But you know how they look at you but don't really see you?
She was like really dialed.
So I was like, I told Mark, I think we need to come back through this saddle and creep right over the top, stay low, and just pop over, because then we'd see this whole cut.
It was a much better view too. We had a better angle.
And kept our eye on the sentinel. She was bedded up on that ridge top. The rest of the deer were tucked in pretty low, and we decided Mark was going to take the buck, and it was down in the bottom of the cut, and Mark spotted him right off.
Well, the problem was, as you come up over the crest of that hill, the sentinel doe could see us long before we could see the buck.
Yeah.
So we had to expose ourselves.
Mark's like, he's right there in the grass, right in front of us. And I'm like, what? I had to roll over the hill another foot just to see him below us. And he was way tucked at the bottom. And so then they got sketchy. Somebody saw us, or they got up because they were ruddy, but they looked more, I don't know, maybe that other buck came in to fight.
They were more animated.
We have no idea what happened, but that buck stood up and he started strutting around the corner, and I'm like, oh no, Mark's it. And I whistled, actually. And it didn't bother him at all. And you cranked it.
Dude, I had like a foot. He was already behind the hill.
You shot him on the walk, and smashed him.
I had to just put him on the front. I just led him a little and just boom, and then he ran off like nothing happened. I didn't see him buck. You said he hunched a little.
I saw him. Yeah.
I swore I saw the bullet hit him, and then he ran up about 50 or 60 yards and just completely ended over, like just died on his feet, which was shocking.
Yeah.
Because he didn't act. And then yours.
Well, after that happened, all of a sudden,
bucks were coming out of the freaking
I saw
everywhere.
3 different bucks like shoot out.
Well,
and
I thought that was my buck. I about lost my heart saying, I'm like, he's up and running.
I'm pretty sure the one I shot, I almost shot one over here, and then all of a sudden another one appeared over here, and I'm like, well, that guy's pretty big. And you're like, I got him in the scope. But I'm almost certain, Mark, the other buck that I was thinking about shooting went over here.
He did. And then there's a 2-point that went right up where my buck died.
Bucks just came out of the woodwork, and that one was like confused as all get out. And I shot him. Now, Mark followed him with the camera as he went up, and he was hunched. He looked sick, and it looked like he went down, but I'm hoping
he went down. I just hope he didn't get back up.
Yeah, we got to go see if we have to finish him off.
He didn't fall down. He laid down.
Yeah, we hope he didn't get away from us. We hope we find that buck. In the snow, we should be able to get him, but for sure. But we better get going.
We don't want to get the tracks filled up.
Don't worry, I just got that on camera.
This mud. It smells like, it's like snot. Okay, there's where he shot. There's the blood. Yeah, here's yours right here. This is yours. Yeah, this buck's dead.
Shot looks perfect. I don't know, like That's a double lung, perfect shot. 300. It's been a long season, Mark. I'll take it. We got a little double going here. What do you think, dude?
Dude, when you can double up on bucks like this on a day like this.
This, I think, I don't know, man. I think this might have been the buck we saw.
I think it was.
But we might have seen them both at different stages. Because I'm like, that's a big buck. And then later I looked and I'm like, because remember how I said, giant buck, big buck, big buck. And then I looked up again and I was like, well, he's all right. Because from a different spot, I think we were looking at two bucks. And because we got just such a brief glimpse of that other one, he's a stud. I'm so happy with both.
Dude, how he went, like look at that shot.
I know. Like, you don't...
Dude, you took his whole everything out.
He still went like, what was it, 100 yards? On film, just limping, both lungs. I don't know how, and it was a low lung. It wasn't high, you know. I don't know, blood everywhere. But he's tough. He stayed alive for longer than he should have. But dude, we got 2 Montana bucks. I need meat for the freezer big time. I got an elk. I got a buck. Finally. When I saw this buck, I almost didn't shoot him. I was like, well, I got a few more days. I could go for something a little older. But I was like, you know what? This is fun. This is it. Once Mark got him on camera, because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to shoot him off camera. I was like, nah. And Mark's like, I got him. I'm like, you do?
Oh, I was on it.
I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, here goes nothing. But look at him. He's just...
Dude, he's
just right there.
He's bigger than I thought.
He's got these bladed points, you know. He doesn't carry a lot of mass up there. In Ryan Lamper's world, eye guards count as like 20 inches, even though they're combined 6 or 7. Yours is sweet. It comes up and curls forward on the one side and the other. Yours is just old, a little bit older.
It's gonna be interesting to put them side by side.
I love it, dude. I'm just so grateful. I had a blast. This was great. I'm real happy with how this all turned out. I'm so happy with your buck. Like,
dude, it's gonna be awesome putting them together. They're not much different.
Oh, they're different. Trust me. Yours is so wide. Yours is well outside the ears.
Dude.
Oh yeah. Trust me. I took a look at yours. I'm like,
surprised.
Wow.
When this buck ran down, I thought, oh, that's a good buck, but
I got a good look at him. I'm like, he is good enough.
It is nice when you walk up on a buck and he's bigger than you thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always money.
Absolutely. Yep. Hey, man.
Good job, man.
Meat for the freezer, too. We are low. Stocking up. I got moose, caribou, elk, deer. I am, like, finally replenished. Oh, dude. Oh, that's not bad.
I told you he was a decent buck.
Congrats, dude. Wow. Oh, I love it. Hell yeah.
Dude, when I looked down in the grass, I saw them chocolate horns. I'm like, that is not the same buck. But I'll take it.
Heavier. Not deep forks, but... Man, I love mule deer. Oh, Mark. Oh, Mark, that's a stud.
I'll take it. All right. That's not the buck.
Congrats.
Oh, man. Dude, look at the neck on that thing.
I'm so happy for you, dude.
That's right. What was that shot? Remember that bullet hit That's all I had when he was going behind that. Oh man, he didn't have the deep forks, but he's got the mass. He's got the eye guards. Look at the width on him.
I love it. I love the Baki.
That's my best buck to date, I think.
Dude. All right.
When we first glassed up these bucks down, when we first glassed up this buck in the bottom, he's with several does, and Brian and I both were like, that's a good little buck. I mean, nothing spectacular, we didn't think. And so, but we decided he was only 600, 700 yards away from us, so we decided to make a stalk aim. So we crept up the first time, and we tried to go around this little mud ledge, and we got eyes on the doe. We couldn't see the buck. And so we thought the doe saw us, so we backed up, and then we crept up where Brian wanted to go the first time. I was worried about being skylined, but we crawled up to a saddle and peeked over, and we could still see that sentry doe. And then I crawled up just a few more inches, and I peeked up, and right below us, I saw this buck bedded in this real dark brush, and I could just see his horns in the brush when he was turning his head. And I immediately thought, that buck is not the same buck we glassed. It just didn't look the same. But it didn't matter. He definitely was a shooter buck for me, and I got on him, and but it was a little slow getting on him, the weather and ice in the scope, and it just took me a little longer than I thought. And Brian was on him with the camera, and I think he was saying shoot, shoot, shoot. And I was like, it took me a little too long, and I almost waited too long, and I ended up had to squeeze a quick shot right when he's walking. But anyway, I got it right where he needed to be, and he ran about 50 yards. And right when I shot, deer kind of scattered. And then within a few minutes of my buck going down, we saw it go down. Another buck came out of almost the same place where he fell, and I thought he got up. Brian says it was different, but he goes, give me your gun. He took my gun and got on the second buck. I wasn't even sure it wasn't my buck, and shot this buck. And then we tracked it with a camera and finally went down about 75 yards, 100 yards past where my buck went down. So now we've got a buck that we hope is down and a buck that I hope wasn't alive. Anyway, we walked down here, and it turned out to be exactly what it was. My buck was dead in the ditch, and then Brian's buck was dead about 100 yards up, a little further from mine. And then in the course of all that action, there's two other bucks that were in here with those does, and I think that we weren't sure why my buck got up, but now that we've kind of rewatched the video, and we saw him rubbing his tarsal glands and probably peeing on himself, we think that other buck got a little close to him, and he was getting up to take care of business or something, and that caused us to have to escalate our shooting. But man, it worked out good. I think he's close to my biggest buck that I've got so far, and he's definitely probably the heaviest buck I've gotten. And for out here, that's a good specimen of a deer, especially for only a couple days of hunting. My son killed a buck yesterday. We slept in a parking lot last night. Today we get up, we come out here and kill two bucks at the same time. You're pretty blessed when that stuff happens.
Dude, I want to film you in slow motion, just slide to the bottom.
The weeds grow tall and winding, unbroken by the blade. swallow our home but a cold, empty frame. The glass eyes staring like a skull without a brain. Why do I stay though nothing remains? And still I long to see you, although our days have bled. Watch time kiss shadows on your pretty little head. So spin with me a future dream from ones forever dead, as the ancient mother spins her forever web. Yet you don't even care, let alone understand how a soul grows old before it began. So here I sit with my spade in my hand, just digging my grave in an unpromised land. Yeah, we're digging our graves in an unpromised land.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this week's film. I had a blast on this hunt with Mark Livesay. This is his biggest mule deer to date, which I'm so stoked for him. And there were some interesting things that happened on this hunt, especially my buck took a 300 Win Mag round through both lungs and just didn't drop. Yeah. We're going to get into that a little bit later after we announce these giveaways and a couple other things that happened on the stock that I think you'll find useful. That'll kind of give you some context for how this hunt went down.
Yep.
Before we do that, we have 3 giveaways going on right now. One with Mark Livesay, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Treeline Academy. If you go over to Mark's store, the Treeline Academy, and use the code GRIDDY and you buy his e-scouting course, you are entered to win an alpaca raft. Yep. Which is $1,000, $1,200 value, and also a Harvest Right freeze dryer.
About $2,700 there.
Yeah, so you're $3,700, $4,000 in value right there. And all you got to do is shop over there and download his e-scouting class. If you haven't downloaded it, it's worth every penny.
Yes.
Go do it. You'll get 10 entries if you buy the Ultimate Western Hunting Package from Mark. Yep. But if you already bought the courses and you already have his classes, you can still get entered to win. Just for $20, you can download the map toolkits.
The new toolkits.
For the 4 states that he has available.
Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Montana.
The elk states, and he's expanding those all the time. So check that out. Also, if you want to win a $5,000 hunt package.
And
with
new Peaks teepee.
Yep. And backpacks and
Loophole binos, Mountain Ups products, 20% off at Mountain Ups.
Yep. Then all you got to do is shop at Mountain Ups right now and use the code GRIDDY, and you also get 20% off on everything that you shop for there. So that's our other giveaway. And then our third giveaway is with Go Hunt. If you need some hunting supplies, check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop. We'd rather see you shop there than REI or Backcountry Supply or something like that. So check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop. Use the code GRIDDY over there. You're going to save 10%, and you're going to be entered to win another $5,000 prize package. And all these things are going down right now today. Today is your last day to be entered to win on all those giveaways. We're closing them at 11:59 p.m.
Mountain Standard Time.
And that's if you're watching this, it's Sunday, January 8th, last day. So get in on it if you're interested in any of those giveaways and you need some of that stuff. Now's your chance to win and to get a discount at the same time. After this, well, we won't do another giveaway until March or April or something. And another way to be entered to win is if you get a Go Hunt Insider membership, which I highly recommend. We've been using the Insider membership for years. It allows you to get access to some of the best research tools,
drawing odds, to their mapping. I mean, it is.
You get the maps. You get the incredible. You get a whole package. It's $150. But with the code GRIDDY, you get a $50 store credit to the gear shop.
Correct.
And it gets you maximum number of entries. What is it? 10,
Yep.
20?
So I think they give you 50 entries if you purchase the insider membership.
Yeah. So 50 entries into the giveaway if you buy the insider membership. So
And every dollar spent there is one entry.
can't go wrong. Check that out. And right now we are reviewing the comments that everyone leaves in the video, and we're selecting winners, which we're also going to announce tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday.
Tuesday, January 10th, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay, to 10th. We're going to go for the 10th. That's our date. For the last 2 videos and then this video, if we're selecting multiple winners, if you leave a comment, if you like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment, we're going to read them.
Yep.
We read everything. And we're going to select a winner.
Correct. For each episode for the last couple weeks. And then also when you shared it on Instagram, we're going to select those winners as well.
This week we're doing mountain ops. We're giving away a whole bunch of mountain ops. So if you leave a comment, we're going to do a random comment. We're just going to select randomly.
Yep.
You get a tub of Ignite. If you're another dude who wants to do the creative comment, which we have some
There's
really
some great
good
ones.
We're in fact seeing if we can wrestle up some prizes for runner-ups because we feel guilty.
We do.
When people write such cool comments and then and we can only pick one.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate all the support you're giving our channel. Our channel has been booming as of late, both with views and subscribers. It's growing pretty rapidly, which is really cool. Lets us know that we're doing something right. So thank you for that. So, Brad, let's get into this hunt a little bit. What do you think about, you watched it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this buck that got shot and went as far as it did? Because we had a similar comment when Chris Tobias.
Yeah, shot his moose.
When he shot his moose on that second episode of the Alaskan series. We had a few people say, because it was kind of a 1/4 shot, and we did a whole podcast about it as well that you might want to check out. But we were like, we got some feedback, not much, but some where people were saying stupid shot, immature, like bad decision. And so
how far did you trail the bull? And it's like,
and they were like, at least your follow-up shot was decent or better, and you got him. And the reality was the first shot was perfect.
Yeah. You
couldn't ask for one to destroy more vitals than that. Chris is very, very familiar with his weaponry and his planning and his shooting, and he took a very long time to take the shot.
Right.
He didn't just squeeze one off.
No.
He was doing the calculus in his head.
I think he was picking which hair on that moose he was going to shoot.
And the bullet goes right behind the shoulder, and it's what you don't see in the film is it's a downhill angle. It goes in. It obliterates all the vitals, the lungs, the diaphragm, liver, so forth. Exits mid-body. Back in the flank area.
Yeah.
Didn't ruin any meat. It was a pretty great shot. Now, people thought it lived too long or it didn't drop fast enough. And Lampers and I had a quick discussion because some people will say that about other animals that we've taken on film. And I've seen a few times where I saw once where Ryan shot this buck 3 times through the lungs, all 3 times. Yeah. And it just never went down.
Right.
And
I don't know if it's like just the adrenaline. I don't know if it's just a sure will to live. I don't know what it is that causes that. But, you're a buck. I mean, you and Mark's bullets are pretty close to the same impact point. And your exit's a little farther, not far forward, but right behind that shoulder, just the way he was quartered away. And so much damage done on that buck, yet he continued to go 150 yards.
When he gets hit, you can see it blows out, and there's actually blood in the snow.
Right.
And he bounces, and he goes up, and he gets to the top, and he has that one moment where he's like, "Whoa, I'm gonna fall," but then he doesn't.
And then he
recruits himself, and he just then he starts walking, and as he starts going, he seems to do okay.
Yeah.
And then he beds down. He doesn't fall. He lays down.
Yeah. And it's the same rifle, the same bullet out of the rifle. I don't know. I can't explain.
I know.
it.
Mark's went bounce, literally, and he just fell down the hill and was done.
I can't explain it because you couldn't. Same thing. You couldn't place that bullet in any better place.
We talked about this as we analyzed it. My shot was dead center of the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's was forward
of the
in
lungs.
the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were mid body or low. It wasn't like a high lung shot.
Yeah, right.
For whatever reason, this is the thing. This is the takeaway, and I've had this conversation with Lampers because this is sort of a pet peeve of Ryan's.
Right.
Animals don't drop in their tracks.
No.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. A lot of people aim for shoulders And when you hit the bone in the shoulders or the spine, and those bones, when they get hit, they buckle that animal and
shocks
drop
the whole
them.
body, really.
And so people and a lot of hunters do, they just aim for shoulders, drop them where they're standing. And there's a lot of TV shows out there where you see bucks get dropped hard. And so I think it's created in people's minds this idea that animals drop instantly in their tracks when they get shot. And we try to hit animals so that we don't lose any meat.
Right. And I think the difference is they're hitting it in the shoulder. What you're not seeing is the second and third follow-up shot that a lot of times comes after because of maybe a shoulder shot. I mean, you broke bone, but you might have not hit anything vital.
Yeah.
And
well, I think a lot of guys are using large caliber guns, and when they hit them in those shoulders, not only did they just break all the bones and the deer can't walk, but they usually also, that hydrostatic damage gets into the chest cavity, and they do usually die fairly quickly.
Depending on angles and stuff.
I would say it's a humane shot.
Yep.
But it just ruins all the meat.
Right. Exactly. Especially with the rifle.
We're there for the meat as much as everything else, the whole package deal. And so we're aiming for those lungs. Right. And it's fatal. But as you can see, sometimes they're able to go quite a ways on a lung shot. Double lung shot. And you'll see the same thing with arrows. You'll see, the more I hunt, the more I realize like some people say, you should have known you got that elk, for example.
Right.
People left comments like, you seemed unsure, but it was in 250 yards. You got a big caliber rifle, and even that elk stood on its feet, double lunged, stood on its feet for quite a while with a 338, 225 grains, barn TTSX, and it's still up for a while before it finally fell over. Minute and a half.
Yeah, I would say close to a minute.
Which seems like an eternity when they're bouncing away from you.
Well, especially because we couldn't see that elk, until we got the footage home and stuff. You can't see him behind the trees.
Yeah, right.
We had no idea.
Right. No idea he was on his feet for that period of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, having done it quite a bit, I feel good about the shot. I feel good about it being fatal. But an animal can still go a long way before it finally gives in. And so with that buck, I was so impressed. It also goes to show how tough they are. And they're different animal to animal. I mean, and when that bullet goes in, sometimes it does hit some sort of artery or some kind of critical vein, and the blood loss is so rapid. They go 4 seconds and they're falling over.
Right.
But I think sometimes just the combination of what goes on in there when that bullet strikes, sometimes things stay a little bit more intact than they normally would.
Yeah.
And although it's fatal, it's going to take 45 seconds, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 20 minutes for them to die.
I mean, it's been proven in humans and everything that adrenaline can keep somebody alive for a long period of time. And so when you got a buck that has a rut on his mind.
Yeah, he was amped.
He's already cruising. He's used to fighting, and he's ready to fight. So he has that adrenaline there, and then you end up sending a bullet through him. That gives him another shock of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it's like that adrenaline spikes, and he can go for a long period of time, without really knowing. I mean, basically the buck is dead.
Yeah.
But that shot of adrenaline is keeping him alive.
I've seen that happen with spine shots, spinal shots with a bow.
Absolutely.
They fall, and then I swear you could put 3 in the chest cavity.
Right.
And you're just standing there waiting, and they seem to just, once that happens, the adrenaline or something just keeps them going so much longer than when there's not the adrenaline.
Yep.
So yeah, I think a spike of adrenaline definitely makes it different, you know.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that, how the kill went down, because we're set up on this buck, and Mark tried to pull a Ryan Lampers on me and wait 55 minutes before he finally shot the buck.
I know.
I'm like, dude, shoot this buck already.
I know.
Like, how long do we, the thing stands up.
He's perfectly
rubs
in
his
the
tarsal glands.
center of the frame
And
the
he's
camera.
just sitting there you have eternity to pull the trigger. And Livesay's still sorting it out and taking his time. And finally that buck starts walking. And keep in mind, we're in a blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean, that snow is coming down so hard. We're having a hard time seeing, in hindsight on camera, you can see a little better, but in the moment.
If you guys are close, you're 100, 150 yards from these deer.
Yeah.
But what obviously through the camera, what we're showing is, it's cleared up, it's colored a little bit. You got some detail where when you're there, I mean, it is a whiteout.
It's a whiteout.
Full whiteout.
We couldn't really range it because the rangefinders won't work when there's that much snow.
Yeah.
You'll get an inaccurate reading. You're not sure if you're actually getting your range the way you want when it's that big of a whiteout.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so in Mark's defense, he was trying to make sure, given the blizzard, that he was aiming where he thought he was aiming and all that. And our scope, his scope just kept filling up with snow and the sort of typical stuff fogging up on you. The classic problem. Same with my camera. I was like wiping the camera over and over again, trying to keep it.
And I don't think people realize
foggy.
how hard it is to film in some of those conditions like that.
It is so hard. And I get home and there's very little audio to work with. And it's really frustrating because you're like
whipping.
You're like, man, I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to bring people along, but all it is just the wind raging.
Yeah.
And there's a certain art to it. And I wish I had grabbed the lav. I wish I had done this, done that to get better film, better audio. I wish that on almost every hunt we do.
Mm-hmm.
And, but things happen fast. I spotted this buck, Mark's buck, and it was walking down a hill, and I'm like, big buck, big buck, big buck. And it was really far away. And it disappeared below the cut before Mark could get his eyes on it. So I'm like, he's in that cut somewhere up and down. And so we glassed for quite a while longer. And then Mark spotted what I now know is my buck.
Yeah, a different buck.
And if it wasn't my buck, it was a buck similar to that one with some does. And it was a little bit further from where I saw the buck Mark actually shot.
Yeah.
And I said, either way, if it's not the same buck, it's a great buck. Let's go. So we started just heading over there, and we had the sentinel doe bedded up on high above all the other deer, kind of in the rocks, and it would like look around. So it took us a while to get, like we had to walk a long ways to get into an area where she couldn't see us.
Yeah.
And then once we could drop down into the cuts, but we were up high on the rim of a valley.
Yeah.
And so we had to go around, and some people are lazy and they would try to sneak past that doe. They're not dumb, especially in these open country, plainsy, badlands type bucks.
Yeah.
They're looking at you. They see you as a skyline of miles away. You start walking toward them.
Yep.
You think that distance is going to protect you? It won't. They'll round up and they'll leave.
Especially if that doe has a little bit of age on her.
Yeah.
Like they're not
They're not going to let you do that.
No.
I don't care. And so we actually had to dump off the backside and make a big loop to come down where then she couldn't see us. And she seems to have calmed down because she stood up and looked at us like, I was like, Mark, it ain't going to work. We're not going to be able to go 100 yards toward them and then drop out of view. Even if you're still 800 yards away, it's like they know they don't like it.
Yep. Exactly.
So when she watched us leave, she started to bed as we got further down and we could see her lay down. We dropped down, went all the way around. And when I got up on the edge of the hill, there she was, just bedded right there in those rocks, kind of sitting there. I filmed her a little bit with my phone. She kind of looked right up at me. And you know how they look at you? They look right at you. And she's staring right at me. And I just got the trees, kind of the bushes. I'm looking through bushes, actually, in front of me, sage, and I got the hill rolling. Man, they're just... And I didn't want to wrap around the front.
Yeah.
I wanted to come through the saddle where we actually shot from. That's what I wanted to do. And Mark's like, no, man, I think peeking around the side is better. And, depending on where the deer are, he could be right. I could be right. I have just noticed, like, if you just creep over on a slope, and this is for mule deer in the grasslands, in the snow, it doesn't really matter. But if you stay low with the grass, we do this in Arizona, and you kind of roll over, and your profile is just 6 inches, 8 inches, you're not standing. I see a lot of guys walk up and stand, and there's something different about that than when you're actually laying and you look over than when you're standing and you look over. It's like, and 90% of the time I get away with that peek over, and I got all that view, and
what
they
I would
don't
say
see
too
you.
is like, you peek over, even if they do happen to see you, I mean, you're not silhouetted.
Mm-hmm.
They see you, but at the same time, you can sit there for, it may take 5 minutes, it may take 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit there without moving, and eventually, I would say 95% of deer and elk, they're going to turn away.
Yeah, when I was peeked around the corner and kind of the bushes were there, and she just kind of looked at me like she saw something.
Yeah.
But I just froze and didn't move, and after 3-4 minutes, she looked away, and I ducked down, and I rolled over, and I'm like, she's looking right at me, but they look at you like that, just don't choke.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is not quick movements. That's what screws you every time.
Yeah.
And one thing I
have no doubt she looked at me because she saw something she didn't like
mm-hmm.
or something that caught her attention. But after she looks at it a long time, if I don't give her anything to confirm that, then they often go, okay, well, I guess it's not something.
Yeah, exactly. Another good point I think to talk on is with Mark's buck after he shot it was how easily it could happen to get a bullet in one deer and then accidentally shoot a second deer. When you have, especially the rut, you got bucks coming out of every little nook and cranny, or
mm-hmm.
deer coming out of every nook and cranny. And
yeah, because when we rolled over the hill and the blizzard was hitting us, I didn't know if that buck was going to stand up right away and just go rut or do something.
Right.
And we were 100, 150, and I'm thinking, just kill this thing. And I'm getting my camera set up, and I tell Mark, just get on your rifle, get going, get on your rifle. Yep. And so Mark starts getting on the rifle. I'm setting up the camera, and I'm like, you just shoot it. And he's like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, shoot this buck. Just shoot this buck. Because I'm trying to film, you know? And so Mark got ready, and we weren't there. I barely got the camera kind of going for a minute or two when that buck stood up.
Yeah.
And in the blizzard, I didn't know why it stood up. Yeah. I saw that doe.
You couldn't tell that buck rubbing his dorsal glands and stuff like that.
No. I saw that doe whip her head around. I saw that buck stand up and kind of do this, and they were on alert, and their ears are forward. And I was like, oh, crap, what's going on? What's going on? Did that sentinel doe see us? Did a doe I haven't seen us?
Wind us somehow?
Did they win? They're all on alert. Now, in hindsight, I can see that when he stood up, he started rubbing his tarsal glands together, and he started posturing. But in the blizzard, all I could see was that he stood up on high alert.
Right.
And then he starts strutting over there. Well, in hindsight, we know now that the buck I shot was coming over, and this other buck was like, no, you're not. and then Mark shoots him. And so as soon as he shoots him and he bounces up, he falls right back down, and we're like, well, that happened fast. And Mark's like, that happened fast. And instantly that other buck comes trotting out. Yeah. Yep. And I'm like, and I'm just talking to Mark, and I look and I see this buck just out. I'm like, there he is. I thought he got back up.
Yeah.
Because you would. And within a couple of seconds, I was like, telling Mark, wait. No, because he stood up literally where the other buck was.
Yeah.
Where he fell down into a hole, ran up, he fell. And I was like, what? And I told Mark, don't shoot. Not your, wait. It's not, it's a different buck.
Yep.
So at that point, I watched the buck for a minute or so, and I'm like, that's a nice deer. That's a nice buck. But I could have spent another 6 days there. But I'd been gone a long time for the family, and the blizzard was coming for the next couple of days, and it was getting worse in the snow. And I was like, and Mark would have stayed with me and hunted for days longer. But we knew this season was rough. A lot of guys were reporting not seeing deer at all. Ryan was out with Paley, and before that, Mark Boardman, and he was not seeing much. So I saw that buck, and I'm like, you know what? I need some meat for the freezer, and he is pretty. Yep. He is pretty, especially he's bouncing away.
He is too.
He's walking up the hill.
He's got that kind of basketball-y.
He's got a really pretty frame.
Yeah.
Just like Mark's frame is mass and squared and older, just a sweet buck.
Right.
But if my buck had the same age class, but it's a pretty rack.
Yeah.
It swoops.
Absolutely.
It's got some extras.
I mean, I don't know. Mark's has some nice eye guards. So.
It does. But anyway, I decided, it's time to take this buck. So we got a double. I swear that's my whole season this year was double and doubles. And
I know.
So this buck comes out, and I did get him. He was hard to spot in the blizzard, and then when I did have him in the crosshairs, Mark didn't have him on the camera.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mark. I mean, he was bobbing that camera everywhere.
Not easy
trying
to do
to film
in
it.
A blizzard, cold.
Yeah.
And when you can't see and you're not used to a camera, Props, Mark. Props.
He did a great job.
He did.
And he's like, I'm on him. I'm are you sure? Are you sure? I'm on him. And when he started coming up that hill, there was, in that howling wind, in that blizzard, there was no whistling, or I just yelled at him like, hey.
Yeah. I know. And I don't think people realize either, like, how hard the wind is blowing.
And I could tell he was rutting. Like, when that buck went down, they all got a little skittish, but he was also shopping for does.
Yeah.
He was like
He's
smelling
I'm ready.
That big buck is gone, and he's like, which one? Where's the hot one?
Yep.
You know? And he was combing back and forth like a bird dog, just smelling all the spots, just checking everything. Right. He's horny as all get out. And when he bounced up that hill and I yelled at him and I hit him, and I think that's why the adrenaline was a lot higher in him too. He's like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and I think the exact same thing, because I think that plays a huge factor into how much further that buck went. Because he's on high alert. He's adrenaline. He's amped. You know, he's the next in line.
Places to go, things to do.
Yeah,
I robbed him of that moment. Yeah, but it was really cool. That one of the things I wanted to bring up when we were making the stock. You know, Mark made a comment to me. He's like, "You're a lot more cautious and you're slower than I would have been. I would have probably been there already way before you got there."
Yeah.
In my experience, okay, as long as you don't do something stupid, it's a dead buck.
Right.
Like, every time a stalk goes wrong, I feel like that's because I messed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, the caution ends up costing you the opportunity, perhaps,
right,
because you could have got there faster and they got up and they moved, right? But I looked at the situation. By far, the biggest risk is you make too much noise.
Mm-hmm.
You think because you got some wind and because, you know, a little bit of wind cover and some snow, that you can just run over to that knob.
But I would also say in that situation, it's like you don't see, there could be way more deer between point A and point B, and so you could blow something out.
The number one, there was two concerns that were number one, that there was actually a deer somewhere sentineled in a little bush or brush or in that open plains area or on a little ledge that we just hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
So what you don't see is I am glassing every 10 feet. And I'm walking and I'm glassing and I'm glassing. And I am just picking apart the landscape to make sure. The other thing is a deer just bounces up to the ridge to take a look around, make sure nothing's coming, which they'll do.
And especially those bucks, because they're looking for does. So they'll get to a high spot and they look around and then they drop back down and cruise.
And what I have found is, let's say a deer bounces up to the ridge and peeks over and it's looking around. If you're a statue when he peeks over, he looks right past you.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's moving slow has many benefits.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, though, is that when a deer comes and peeks over, like all of a sudden stands up and there it is, you're not caught red-handed with your hand in the cookie jar.
Right.
Because you're already frozen most of the time.
Yep.
You take a step real slow, and the crunching of the snow, there's a hard, crunchy surface, and then it gets soft underneath. Every step goes... And the wind comes and goes. And when you drop into a little cut, it's very quiet in the cut. The wind's ripping above you. And then you come back up, and the wind's loud. All it takes is a deer kind of in a cut 100 yards away. They're going to hear that if you're just walking.
Yeah.
But if you're walking slow, they don't hear it.
And I would say, too, when you're more cautious, and if, say, the stalk doesn't work out, I would say a lot of the time you're able to relocate those deer because you actually didn't blow them out. They most time moved on their own, and they're not alerted, really.
Yep.
For the most part.
Absolutely. So to me, you take your time clearing the area on your way in. Mm-hmm. I learned this hunting in Alberta a lot. You know, it's like you get busted by the deer that you didn't know were there.
Yeah.
So, and then they just run in and grab all 20 deer and leave, you know. So you walk in, you make sure there's nothing in your way as you move in. That was the biggest concern. The second one is a deer pops over the ridge. When it pops over the ridge, I'm already kind of moving slow so it doesn't see me. And it's amazing when you move in that way, how effective it is. Yeah. Also, you're just making less noise. And the noise carries a lot more than you think. They have ears that are like giant.
Yes, like 100%.
You know? So I took my time getting over there, and it paid off big. We got over there. And in hindsight, too, when that buck got up and started to walk around that cut, Mark was killing me, dude. Mark was killing me. He's taking so long to shoot that deer. But I was sitting there going, if he doesn't shoot, we'll probably still get this buck.
Yeah.
But there was a whole giant cut that went up, and there was a bunch of does between us and there. So if they went in that cut and just started hanging out over there, it was going to be a tall order to try to like get in position
through these deer.
But we could find them tomorrow. But if the blizzard didn't come,
Yeah.
But you got the camera set up. That's the biggest driver for me that makes me a little impatient. Is once the camera is there and it's dialed and everything's set, it's like to reset up, get it in focus, to get everything dialed.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do it again. And as it was, dude, the camera is creeping up above the skyline.
Yeah, right.
That's the part. It's not us laying there. Like, it's the camera, like,
yeah.
up.
It's on an angle, so the back of the camera.
It's a huge
camera.
camera.
Higher,
and it's like all of that is coming up and just being exposed on the saddle.
Yep.
But, that's so it's all slow movements.
Yeah.
Really slow movements.
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, hunting the animal is one thing. Filming it is a whole nother level.
But $2 in a couple of minutes, and then we went back, grabbed the llamas, and packed them out. It was a pretty cool experience. I'm a huge fan of Mark's buck.
Yeah.
It doesn't have deep forks on the backs, which is kind of typical for the area we were in.
Yep.
But man, it is gorgeous.
He's an old mature buck.
I like those
H-class.
kind of like Cal shot one like that not too long ago. It's like gross looking. It's like it's old and heavy, but the rack doesn't have a lot of uniformity and grace and stuff. It's just like size, hard horned. They don't get a lot of mass in this area at all. And so this buck carried quite a bit of mass up. It just didn't have the tine length.
Yeah.
But the frame, that's what it's all about for me. It's the frame.
I would say frame and eye guards. Make it or break it right there.
The eye guards do add a little panache to it. So very cool hunt. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you want to support Mark Livesay, be entered to win a freeze dryer and a pack raft, go download his e-scouting classes. And then Mountain Ops, 20% off. Win a big hunt package, gear hunt, Go Hunt Gear Shop, same thing. Use the code GRIDDY over there. We're going to announce those winners in 2 days.
Yeah.
Giveaways end tonight. And don't forget, if you leave a comment below, we're going to pick some winners for that as well. I think we have 6 winners to pick for YouTube and at least 3 for Instagram. Yeah, share it on Instagram and share it with your buddies, your family, your dad, your mom. It seems like the families and the ladies kind of like our hunts too.
Right.
If it's not just hunters watching our stuff, we're doing something right.
My wife's kind of getting there. She's always like, I'm not watching it. I'm like, everybody else's wives are watching it. I see the comments, everybody.
Yeah, so check that out. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay gritty, friends.